Stand by for the Brewery Underground Podcast.
In Nashville's harbor wise, craft and brews will meet the skies. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite.
Well, looks like we got a motley crew going on this podcast episode. Hey, everybody. Steve and Scott, Mitch and Rich, the Brewery Underground Podcast, and the Foamy Heads. We're all back together once again, guys. Hello. How are you?
Doing well.
God, you guys don't look much different than the last time we saw you.
No.
Good to see everybody. And, Scott, we have a fifth person here on this podcast because all we're talking here tonight is going to be beer. And you set this guy up, and so I'm going to give you the honors of talking about who it is that we have on this collab podcast episode today.
Okay. And if you've listened to our podcast before in the Foamy Heads, this Untappd thing has come up a few times, right? We've mentioned it a few times. We're going to continue to mention it. And we've got a guy who I think owns Untappd. In one way or another, he owns Untappd. His name is Sean Jones. And I was telling him before he comes on, we've named this episode Sean Jones Untappd Phenom, if that gives you an indication. So, Sean, welcome to the Foamy Underground. Is that what we're calling this?
Sure. Yeah, there you go. Foamy Underground. We love it.
So, welcome, Sean.
Thank you for having me. Yes, nice meeting you all.
Absolutely. Now, the reason, let's go ahead and start with this. The reason you're on here, it blew all of our minds. Your numbers on Untappd are incredible. If we manually wrote them in, they wouldn't be as high as what you have on there. So
It's accurate.
let's start with that. You've got 47,956 unique check-ins and overall 57,171 as of this moment. Now, after I say that, that number's probably changing as we're talking here, but anyway, those are freaking impressive. When I mentioned it to these guys, everybody wanted to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I was kind of perusing and creeping on, how many beers he's had since he started and things like that. Sean, I mean, you've been on Untappd since, God, it was 2013.
Yep.
And just to give you an idea, I was on Untappd since 2011, and I have 4,600 beers checked in. This guy has been on Untappd 2 years newer than myself and has 10x'd me in that short amount of time. So kudos, congrats, I guess.
And Sean is coming to us from Las Vegas. And so the question I got to ask, man, is are you well known in the beer community in Las Vegas? Like, you walk down the street and people are just glad handing. There he is. There's that guy that has all these check-ins on Untappd.
No, I know pretty much a lot of people in the beer scene here in Vegas, but I'm just one of the regular fixtures, I guess you could say, in the beer scene here. I'm not. Amazingly enough, there's a lot of people in Vegas who have those high numbers. I am the highest one, but there's about 3 or 4 people who are over. I know one person who's in the lower 40,000s in town, and a couple who are in 25,000 range.
Wow. You laugh at them when you see those numbers?
Somewhat.
Sean, is you mentioned there's a lot of, there's quite a few people that have that. I'm sure, and I don't know about Scott, Steve, or Mitch, but I have not done local research to see what the average is in our area, but I assume, just based on the beer scene over in Vegas, that the averages are probably higher. I've been to Vegas a couple of times. Big fan of the beer scene out there. Would you say the beer scene predominantly leans towards more of the specialty craft beer way of things, the special one-off releases, or do you think that it's more of a conglomerate of a bunch of breweries that are just trying to, claim their stake in the ground and putting out the usual, their regulars?
Sure.
How does the craft beer breakdown look in Vegas?
On the whole, I would say it's mostly just very traditional breweries in Vegas. There are a couple who sort of have that one-off approach. Every week they release one or two one-offs. Traditional beer, we have fruit in it. But on the whole, most of the breweries are more conservative here in Vegas. But it doesn't mean I don't love them for that. I think traditional beers have their place.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of it, how people in Vegas, if you've been in the Vegas beer scene for a while and gotten to those high numbers, we really have a bottle share community here. And that's sort of what sort of inflated a lot of people numbers here in Vegas, because we don't get a lot of big name breweries here. Vegas, because of the strip, is not a really good beer market. So people would trade a lot more when that was sort of the thing in the 20s. And you would have a bottle share at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times a week.
Man.
So that's
awesome.
how these numbers got so high for me and other people.
Wow. All right.
Heck yeah.
Well, you're all sharing bottles and you're checking in 40 beers in a 3-hour period because you're having 2 ounces apiece.
Man.
Pretty much, yes.
Well,
I know
it is a beer podcast, so we also have to talk about what beer we're drinking tonight. And Sean, let's start with you. What are you going to check in on Untappd tonight? A beer that you're drinking?
So I'm going to do a fest beer
Mm-hmm.
from a small brewery, Ingrid. They're a suburb of LA. Very German style beers. This is their fest beer they did for this season, obviously. And I love traditional German style beers. That's sort of my jam. So I love their stuff.
Yeah.
Love
awesome. Rich, how about you? What are you drinking tonight, man?
You've got beer count 1. You get a running total.
like those numbers are going to get really high by the end. I mean, like, I'm checking, I'm adding the beers as I go so I can remember. No, so old Irving Brewing Company, based out of I'm trying to remember where those guys are from. I'm cheating. I'm looking on the can. Oh, Chicago. Okay. So the beer's called Double Beezer. I'll hold it up in the can. It's a New England hazy. So it sits at 8.5%, a little bit maltier than I was expecting for a New England style hazy. Like, for me, New England style hazy IPAs are either, very hazy, semi-dry, right? Kind of leave you wanting a little bit more, or kind of in the southern region, kind of took the New England hazy and kind of put a spin on it and made them more juicy. And then that kind of took over and started pushing out. So, like, those are the two styles of New England hazies that I'm used to. This has a little bit more malt flavor profile than I would like. I enjoy it, but it's also only 44 IBU, so it's not necessarily high on the bitter scale either.
Yeah.
So that's my first beer of the night. It was a Tavor purchase, and I'm just working my way through. So
we love it.
Cheers.
We love
Cheers.
it. Mitch, what do you got, man?
Heck yeah. Well, I'm mostly through it at this point, but it was my water break before I start getting into the beer. But this is the PBR Godzilla.
I love that can.
I'm a dork for Godzilla stuff, so I had to find this. It came out in distro yesterday. So everywhere that I left a note asking to keep me in mind have called me and let me know the 6-packs are in for Godzilla, but I gotta go correct some things. I want the case with all the guys, the whole group. But anyway, I did pick up a 6er of Godzilla. Still tastes like PBR. So, Godzilla didn't do me any favors. But
great marketing campaign. That is great.
Yeah, it is. But I will be shifting over to a Cordially Yours Ale from Southern Grist.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cocktail-inspired, old-fashioned, I think, beverage. I love old ales, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this has aged. So you might see me gag, you might not.
You never know.
Is that the same? Is it the same beer and same circa as when you drank it on your anniversary episode? Dude, is it the same beer? Okay.
Yeah.
Same year too? Or did they vary?
Should be. They only made this one time, and through our diminishing beer community where we used to have a lot of beer shares, they're very few and far between these days, and a lot of people have had to trade their beers away as they've decided to quit drinking beer, or they see the fruit on the front and they're like, I don't want it. Who wants to buy it or trade for it or whatever? So I've grabbed the last remaining ones that I can find that I've scraped through for the past few years. So this will technically be my last one. I'm taking one up to Nashville to my boss because it's one that we were able to bond over beer together many years ago. So giving that as a gift away.
That's nice. I know when you drank it on that episode, I think it was a little older at that point, but you still gave it like a 4.75, if I remember. Like it held up really well.
Yeah. I'm really craving having it again. So
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to hear about it here shortly once you crack it.
Heck yeah.
There you go. Scott, what you got tonight, man?
I don't know if you'll be impressed or surprised, but guess what I got?
What you got?
Oktoberfest?
Great Lakes Christmas Ale.
Oh, yeah. Tis the season.
Nice.
It just
There
came
is
out.
Great Lakes in Tennessee currently because I went and got it.
What?
I got it.
That's
in
a
my glass
good-looking
right here
beer.
too. I have a Christmas ale glass.
Scott, are we past Oktoberfests and Marzens now, or are you just temporarily shifting gears?
Kind of temporarily shifting gears. I bought a case of 12 of these, and I was like, I'm gonna have one tonight. Most of them are not even in the refrigerator yet, so I put.
He's already getting into the festive holiday season.
I don't want to go too far. I like them. I just had to have it because I have it in hand. But yeah, cheers.
All right, cheers.
Steve, what are you drinking, Steve?
Guys, tonight I have from Black Flag Brewing Company in Columbia, Maryland. This is the West Coast IPA Cowboy Daddy.
Woo!
There you go.
Hey.
Hell
yeah.
So, yeah, had a couple sips of it, and this is a 6.9 beer here, and so far it's pretty good. So,
Love it.
Your tour
we go.
continues, huh?
that's right. The tour continues. All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers to
Sean,
everybody.
Steve has been on a West Coast IPA tour this summer, so I guess he's still going a little bit.
Well, got that in a beer trade. I think I think Keith from Porch Beers had sent that to me. So
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll continue on with the West Coast IPAs. I like them now. So yeah, it's a good jam for me.
Well, Sean, you came across my radar. I met Raul, and he had met you somewhere. I think it was in Vegas. He told me where it was, and I should have written it down, and I didn't. But he lives in Massachusetts, and I think he met you through a mutual friend, and maybe you got to talking, and then either you showed him your Untappd numbers, or his friend did, or something. And then when he was here a couple of months ago, I met him and we hung out, and then he showed me your Untappd numbers, and I was like, oh, "Shit, we got to get him on."
We've literally you brought this up like a couple of months ago, Scott.
Yep.
Yeah,
and we were like, and every one of us were like, "Yes, let's do it."
Yeah.
So it's exciting for us. Those numbers alone, man. Like, it's easy to ask the question how, but let's break it down into a few. First of all, how do you come across 47,000 beers to begin with? If I shopped everywhere in this town and never quit, I couldn't get to 47,000. How is it? Do you travel? Kind of explain that and where a lot of that comes from.
Sure. I do travel a lot. I do a lot of beer festivals. 2019, and then this year, I sort of committed myself to doing a beer festival every month. And it's really easy because Southern California is only a 4-hour drive away. Ooh. So it was easy to go down there for a lot of beer festivals. I've done GABF for a number of years. I've done the big Copenhagen beer festival. So if you do enough beer festivals, you're going to get your numbers really high.
Yeah.
Dude.
How do you remember checking in? Yeah, that's what I was about to say is, at a beer festival, like, everybody's determined the first 45 minutes, and then after that, yeah.
I do say that's sort of my secret. I make sure I try to check in everything I have. So we have a couple of friends who do beer festivals a lot. We have a sort of a plan. Someone takes a picture of all the beers they're listing. You get X, I get Y, you get Z, and then we all share it, and then we move on to the next booth.
Mm-hmm. Do you find it takes you a couple of weeks to check them in? You're going back and you're going back, and
yeah. I just did the corn maze for 450 North up in Indianapolis.
Oh, nice.
Indiana.
Yeah.
And I'm just about done with that.
Tell us about that one, though. I'm curious about that. So it's in a corn maze, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. How cool is that?
Like 7 zones, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And they have a little path through it. It's not really a maze. It's just in cornfields.
Sure.
But it's a fun little festival. Yeah, it's a fun little festival. Actually, it's quite a big festival, I should say. A lot of good beers. A lot of beers that we don't have on the West Coast. So that's sort of the draw. Especially going back east or to the south. Those beer festivals, probably for local people, those have not that many new beers or a handful of new ones. But for me, they're almost all new, and so it's sort of exciting. I can sort of rack up a lot of check-ins.
True. And
Steve,
Sean,
I was gonna say real quick that corn maze one, the beer fest. That's the one Keith and Coop went to, and Coop was like, "Man, it's too easy to get out of these. I want to get lost in this maze, and they don't find me for 3 days."
As the night goes on, or as the day goes on, people will just start cutting right through the corn. I don't know how they do that.
Don't put drunk people in a maze. That's never a good idea. And 450 it's right out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like we hit 450 north on the way back from Dark Lord Day when we go up every year. I say every year, last 4 or 5 years, but like we drive up and we stay in Chicago, and then we'll jump over to Munster and hit Three Floyds for Dark Lord Day. And then, after the weekend, we'll kind of drive back down and we'll always hit 450. You got to go a little bit out of the way, but theoretically it's not too far, right? And it's off the beaten
it's
path.
only an hour south of Indianapolis.
Yep. And it's super easy to get to. But like for a brewery that pumps out, especially on, in the East Coast, because 450 distributes a lot on the East Coast, but it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's a barn. You drive up and park and it's a barn, and there's nothing around it. Like you have to drive to get to that brewery.
Yeah. The first time I went there in 2019, it wasn't the festival. I was just visiting 450 North. I got a little too hammered and had to drive back to my hotel in that in those cornfields. I was a bit scared.
Yeah.
Sean, when you're going to a lot of these beer festivals, are you a guy that tries everything? Are there certain beer styles that you're staying away from?
No, I'll try them all, and as much as I can. There's a couple of styles I'm not big fans of. A good style or a good version of any style is a good beer. And so I don't like Irish dry stouts much, but if done right, I can still enjoy it. So
what do you try to stay away from in terms of styles? I mean, you mentioned Irish dry stout, but are there a couple that you're just like if I have to try it, I will, but for the most part, I'm probably going to stay away from it.
Probably not the initial phase, but like Imperial stouts. I love Imperial stouts, but when you're trying 40 of them at a beer festival, I do sort of hit a wall on those where it's just like I can't do more stouts. Slushy beer is the same. There's sort of a limit to what I can take on those.
Sugar.
Yeah.
What about a Flanders Red?
Ooh.
Oh, I love a Flanders Red.
Sweet.
I love lambics and those European sours. I love them.
Sean, awesome. The four of us just about a month ago, we did a podcast from a beer festival here in Manchester, Tennessee, called Common John, the last beer fest on earth, and we were sharing beer with each other all day, and then going and getting all the breweries. And I think I can speak for everyone where I said it was a great day, but man, there was a lot of variations of beer, guys, that we all drank.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And sours too. I mean, like Mitch was walking around. Well, Mitch, you were walking around with more of a farmhouse ale. First, like a saison, right? It was more of like a wild saison, but
it was the Fantôme and Yazoo
collaboration. Oh. Yeah, but then what was that one? We shared one at the table, and I'm trying to remember who was on with us at the time, but it was a bottle. Scott, was that you or was that Mitch that brought that?
Which one? That Southern Grist?
Yes, it was a Southern Grist sour.
Yeah, I think I had brought that one. That was perpetual composition or something. Is that what that was? Yeah. It said something about caviar or something. Flavor profile.
Weird description.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that.
In fact, I had to go back. And listen to our podcast to even remember that, which tells you how I was that day. By the time we got to that one, it was later in the afternoon. I'm like, we actually drank something with a little bit of caviar in it. All right, that's a first for me.
Sean, do you do this too? And I know you just said you guys have a plan when you go to like a beer fest or something with your buddies, but I like just that example there. I'll go back and like, if I think I got them all, I'll go back and see what these guys checked in earlier in the day too. Cause I know we shared the same thing. I didn't check it in at the time. Okay. Let me go back. Oh yeah, definitely did. I missed that one. Boom. You do a lot of that.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I try to get as many pictures of what the breweries are pouring, but in the hecticness of the beer festival, you'll skip or you won't grab a picture at this one. Hopefully someone else in the group has, and so I can go back on that one.
Yeah. You're thinking one thing when you're there taking the picture, then you go back and look at the picture and you're kind of like, I'm not sure what I was really doing here. Which one I took a picture of, and you never remember.
No,
Do you have like the same group of guys that you've been drinking craft beer with for a number of years, or has it grown for you over the years as everybody's gotten into it?
So I live in Henderson. So there's a liquor store and a bar combined in our neighborhood. So I sort of mostly drink with them, but there are different beer scenes around the valley. So mostly I hang out with my sort of ones but if someone from the other side of town shows up, we know them. And so, but mostly it's the people in Henderson that I travel with and we'll hit beer festivals with.
Awesome.
I just imagine like that slow motion scene on like movies where like the elevator door opens and like Sean and his posse just walk out in slow motion. They're like walking around the corner and people are just like,
they're here.
Need
to
a
take
badge.
over.
That's 47K.
Yeah, like guys, like the four of us would be over in the corner, like, God, there's Sean, guys. Hey, guy, he's over there. Look. I don't want to bother. Go say hi. I don't want to bother him.
And then by the end of the festival, he's got like the 7 with a Sharpie scratched off. It says 40.
Yeah.
He's just keeping a running tab on his shirt.
Sean,
a friend used to always joke with me that I need to get like a Boy Scout badge, like
like one of those with the
like
merit
all
badges.
The badges. Have like.
Great idea. Great idea.
There's a guy
that show up at beer festivals with like a stash.
There's a guy. I got a picture. There's a guy at GABF who has a vest and he's got he's turned them into pins and he's put them on there. But of course, it stops at a certain point because you can only fit so many on there. But it was magical. They were perfect.
That's awesome. On I think a follow-up question to Steve's just a second ago when he was talking about like, do you have a plan when you walk in? And you mentioned, it's like you and a few guys and it's like, okay, this is what we know going into the festival, what it's going to look like. But like, even if you get a list, even if you're like responsible for beers, I'm just going to take a guess, 1 through 50 or 1 through 40 or whatever. Like, you can take pictures, you can be responsible for it. But like, how do you remember, like, are these rated beers or do you just check them in? Because I guess what's that dedication look like? Because in order to rate something, you have to remember it, which nobody remembers a beer at the end of a festival.
Good point.
And then like flavor, I mean, like just perusing your profile, like you're consistent with adding flavor profiles to beer. So like, how do you remember all of that stuff? Or do you at a time like that?
That's a tough one. People give me a hard time. I skew pretty high in my ratings. So if I feel a beer is too style, I give it a 4. It might not be something I like, might not be, I think, amazing, but it's too style. And then so I go down from there. And so when it comes to a festival, I try to remember the outstanding ones and the really disappointing ones and sort of build around that. I'm not gonna lie, on your 50th West Coast IPA,
they taste the same.
Yeah. Can you really differentiate? Probably not. But it wasn't horrible. I didn't gag or I didn't throw it away. Like, I can't finish this.
Yeah.
So it must have been somewhat good. So that is a sort of a tough at a festival grading beers and sort of But I skew high because as people have mentioned, I think we were talking about before the podcast, breweries don't like Untappd because I hate Kolsch's 1 star.
Right.
That's not really fair to the brewery. That might be to style perfectly, but it's just not my thing. So I try to account for that and sort of say, hey, it's not bad. It doesn't stand out. Okay. It must have been to style 4 stars.
Gotcha. That's a good point. I've never thought about that before, but we have, and Mitch and I talk about this constantly. And I mean, we've roped Scott, Steve, we've roped you guys into the conversation multiple times about the rating system on Untappd, but like, it's kind of unfair to rate on the lower side of things, like to say, and I'm guilty of it too. If it's a beer I'll drink again, I'd be like, oh, this is good, I'll give it a 3. Well, like, why am I giving, if you read, that's 60%. Yeah. If I'm gonna drink a beer again, why am I giving it a 3 out of 5? Now, that's not to say that a beer can't be improved on and you go from there. I never thought about rating a beer based on how close to the true style it is. And that's a good way of doing it, because that truly does give props to the brewery by saying, hey, this is a beer. It may not be my style, but it is to style, and it is the definition of what this beer should be. I'm going to rate it high.
Yeah, and that's how I sort of approach it generally. So there's a brewery in Southern California called The Brewery. And they do some crazy beers.
Black Tuesday.
Yes.
Black Tuesday, yep. But they've done some experimental beers, and I much rather try a beer that tries to do something unique and fails than just, hey, this is just an IPA. But that doesn't mean I don't like an IPA. Sometimes I don't want to try the 15% marshmallow fudge imperial stout with lilacs. I want just an IPA. So
and it's funny you mentioned that kind of a beer, because something that I think that the four of us and Scott and on our podcast has talked about over time was, when you get to some of these beers, there's peanut butter and jelly beers, sour beers that have become a big deal around here. And some of them are really good, but I say this, some of them are good just on a flight. I don't want any more than just that. I don't want this in a 16-ounce can. Just give it to me on a flight. I'll enjoy it on that. Are you kind of that way too?
Yeah. We refer to it as a bottle share beer.
Yeah.
The beer 2-3 ounces shared amongst everyone, but beyond that, I couldn't drink 16 ounces.
So if you're drinking a 16-ounce versus just something on like a flight, a taster, are you giving it the same rating or not? Or are you taking into that account like, this is way too sweet for me for drinking way too much of this?
No, I sort of grade it based on the same principle.
Yeah.
I've had beers in the past where I don't feel I've gotten enough of it to really evaluate it properly, so I won't check that in. I'm not a big believer in like, the dregs from the bottom of the bottle, let me drink it, just to get that check in. I much rather get a good 2-3 ounce pour if I can. But if I feel I got a sense of what the beer's going for, I will check it in. Now, gotta let it warm up, does it? Yeah, it could. It could change as it warms up, get more nuance. But then that gets into, if you had a 16-ounce beer, how long are you going to drink it for?
Yeah.
Right? If you get a 60 ounce and drink it in 10 minutes, you didn't really let it mature, so.
Second round.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Mitch, how was that cordially yours this go around?
I saw him pour it.
It's good. To memory, it's nostalgic. I believe it's still held every bit of its flavor. What I'm trying to remember is that first experience, but it's been so long ago that I'm having trouble kind of conjuring up that as I taste through it. So like you were saying about them letting beers warm up, thankfully I have a whole bottle here and there's still some here that I'm going to let warm up. So maybe I can taste more of those flavors come through. Right now, it's still tasting fantastic to me. It still had a decent carb to it. Whoever I got this bottle from, thankfully, did not let the sun kill it or accidentally pop a little bit on the side on the cap. There's been no wax on it, nothing. So I was pretty scared to figure out what would be the case. So
those are normally wax, aren't they, Mitch?
Not during this era of Southern Grist. Yeah. I don't know why, but they didn't wax the tops of their bottles during that time. That sounded weird, but
the only problem with those wax is it's great for all that right up to that point until you have to open it. Sometimes those are worst getting them open. It's great up to that point. They're pretty, right? And it probably seals them and holds it better. But man, when you try to open those sometimes,
dude, we have some horror stories.
Put like double wax on it. It's like cutting through.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've taken knives to them.
Yes.
Can't do it. Mitch and I, we have mine somewhere. I still can't find it.
You still have a double wax?
No. The bottle openers that's got the teeth on the other edge of it, so you can cut through the wax. to kind of help out with some. It's our Natterdays 3D printed that we got from anyway.
Hicks bottle opener or something like that.
Yeah, and
HIX or something. Yeah.
And it's just having that teeth on the other side of that bottle opener has been a game changer. But even more to the point, Living Waters, a brewery downtown Nashville here, puts out, in my opinion, definitely top 5 breweries in Nashville. I would probably venture to say top 3 for me. Killer New England hazies, really, really like world-class barrel-aged stouts. And all of their program, like beer club program beers, it's called the Mythos Club. The bottles that he releases each year are waxed and they have pull tabs inside them. So you literally you pull the bottle out and it's got something sticking out. You just pull the tab off and the top pops right off. So you get the benefit, right, of a waxed bottle cap. And then, but you don't even have to have you pull the wax off with the wax tab and then use a bottle opener to pop the top off and you're good to go.
Well,
super easy.
They got a lot of negative feedback for double waxing accidentally their previous releases.
We had one, Mitch. We couldn't open it.
They fed us science on how to break it open by cooling the wax down and all this other. And I was like, I already knifed my wax.
I just want the beer.
That's too much work.
It is too much work. Yes.
I had a bottle of whiskey once that was from New Riff, as a matter of fact, and I literally had to take a torch to it. I had like one of those little, like for smoked cocktails. I had a torch. Probably wasn't the best thing for the whiskey.
Scott had the National Fire Department on standby at his house.
I couldn't get it off, man. I was like, fuck this.
All night.
So, Sean, you and I and Rich are insiders on the Untappd app. But yours also says moderator.
Thank you. That was my question.
Whoa.
What the hell is a moderator?
I want to be a moderator.
Untappd?
What is that?
You got to pump your numbers up, Scott. Those are rookie numbers.
We could combine our numbers and not get there.
No, we're close.
So, funny story. Untappd used to have a booth at GABF. 1 year, God, this was probably 2019. Yeah, 2019. I was talking to the guy and I was wherever I was at that time. And he was like, "Oh, you're from Nevada?" Yeah. He was like, "Do you want to be the moderator for the state of Nevada?" And so I'm the moderator for the state of Nevada. So every time non-brewery creates a beer on Untappd in the state of Nevada, I get the list and I go, I'm supposed to regularly go through and sort of say like, okay, that's a real beer. That's a duplicate, and combine them.
I have a question. So for the PBR release of Godzilla, I did create a individual PBR release for Godzilla can profile on Untappd, and I'm curious what the Tennessee moderator is going to think about that now.
I do the Nevada maybe once a month. I'll go in, sort of go through a number of breweries and do it. A lot of the states aren't really monitored anymore. I think that has sort of fallen by the wayside. And technically, it's like, technically that's not a new beer because it's not, the recipe hasn't changed. It's just the can art. Technically that should not be allowed, but people do.
I agree.
You're not really supposed to create year check-ins unless the recipe has changed.
Gotcha.
People do that all the time.
It drives me crazy unless, not your thing, Mitch, so much, but it's the go in somewhere and it says 2025 on Untappd. Unless it says it on maybe their menu on Untappd, if the place has a menu, or the bottle or the can, right? If it's printed on there, like maybe they have changed the recipe, like you said, oh, that is a 2025. Or like Celebration's one of those things because it's an annual thing, and or something that's an annual thing always comes out. Oh, there's a 2025 version of it. I'm like, God damn it, it's the same one.
Yeah, no, and I'm the same way, but I used to be very picky, like, no, that's, and then people would just recreate it 2 weeks later, and I'd be like, whatever.
Agreed. That does create a lot of confusion sometimes on Untappd when you're going back. And Scott hasn't done this to me as much lately, but we've been together.
Better.
Yeah, I've gotten better, thank God, because he's, I'll be rating stuff, and he'll like, "You rated in the wrong one." I'm like, "What?" Damn it. I was like going in and go, wait a minute, that's and so sometimes it's like it has a year and then somebody else will check it in and then there's like 3 or 4 and that gets a little confusing on Untappd.
Yeah, no, and that's just because it's self-moderated on some level. That's just what will happen.
Yeah.
I just want our numbers to be pure. I want them
That's
to be
it.
right.
You just want them to be pure.
I don't want any flags.
We always joke around when somebody does that. Oh, you're gonna lose street cred on that one.
well, and we call it market research too. You know, show prep. So we're talking, stuff during the podcast. It's like, hey, wait a minute, you got to make sure we're rating in the right beer. You know,
are there any perks to moderating, Sean?
No, I won't do it for like 2 months. Then I'm like, oh, I really should do it. And so I'll go through, and because Nevada is north and south, I don't know what goes on a lot up in Reno. So I gotta try to figure out what's going on there. But in Vegas, I have a pretty good sense of all the breweries and what they're doing. So
that's a
if
plus.
You click
that's
on
cool.
click on his moderator badge on Untappd. I don't know if you guys have done that, but it pulls up a list of FAQs about the moderator, like how you can become a moderator.
Look, well, I don't know if you could see it because of the light, but
how many dollars Sean gets paid to do this, which is 0.
I wish I got paid.
Anyway,
yeah,
turn your phone down.
I try to show it; it's too bright in here, but
it's so bright.
I haven't. I just clicked on it, so yeah. There you go. Love it.
No, I didn't know that is cool. I might want to be a moderator. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
It'd be like Sean's like, hey, this is exciting, and then 2 months, I'm like, I don't really. I'll do it every couple of months. Screw it.
Yeah.
So
I'm in because I'm a data guy. I always like looking at numbers and trying to do things like averages and stuff. So I pulled up Excel and just threw Sean's numbers into a spreadsheet and started.
Here we go.
So we're gonna round up to 47,960 beers because he's 2 or 3 away from that number at this point. And on average, that is 131 beers a year, which is not bad. Wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. See, I'm not a very good numbers person. Yeah.
Take your time, Rich.
No.
Now, are you using numbers or Excel or?
I don't know. Excel has done what Excel has done, and it looks at the date I put in and thought it was 1. So it's like none of my numbers work anymore. It basically averages out to about 1.1 beers a day since he joined Untappd. So theoretically, that's not hard to achieve, but that is 1 beer every day for 12 years, 12 years. And nobody's drinking every day. Maybe Sean is. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Here's my question. Sean, are you just getting up in the morning and be like, you know what? I'm going to start the day. Here's a beer. Check it off. I got it done. Now I'm getting on with my life.
Sean will crack one open when he gets home from work. Guaranteed.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So, like, I'll go grab dinner somewhere, have a beer with dinner. The nice thing about Untappd is you have the menus. So I have a sense of where there's new beers I haven't tried. So I'll try working like, I'm going to be on that side of town. I'll have dinner, have 1 or 2 beers there, go to this, and then beer festivals, like this Saturday, we're going to have a big Halloween bottle share, and that'll be easily another 100 ticks, 100 check-ins. So it's not like 1 beer every day. It averages out to that, but yeah.
What a strong beer community, man. I miss that over here.
Yeah. Chattanooga doesn't have that much of a beer community. I feel like the beer's growing in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where Mitch is, but coming from Nashville and going east to where Mitch lives now, like Nashville's beer scene's exploding. And
but that being said, even in Nashville, the groups that did do beer shares now no longer do.
They've constricted some for sure.
The younger folks aren't doing that as much. So everyone's just kind of, if they did come to Nashville, there was this nice time of about 5 years where bottle shares were the thing, even line shares, a new release and stuff. But everything got cracked down on right into COVID and after. And none of that culture really came back in full force. So everyone got accustomed to just staying and drinking on their own still. There's not much of a share. And when there is a share, no one shows up anymore. It's a weird, like, the demand isn't there right now for whatever reason. It kind of goes in line with the market right now. But, I do miss the beer shares.
I definitely think that's what happened here. A lot of people transitioned to whiskey during COVID. So that's not really my thing. I like beer. I'll have a whiskey occasionally, but not really my thing. So I know some of them do whiskey shares, whatnot. So a lot of people transitioned to whiskey. Other people got out beer in general, for health reasons or whatnot. Excuse me. Regrettably, a few people I know had to get out drinking beer really because of DUIs. And so, it's regrettably sort of par for the course for this habit or this hobby.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, and you're right in the sense, like, I don't see younger people getting into beer, whether or not I know we have what's called the Arts District here, and that's a really young, hip area. There's only a handful of beer bars. It's all cocktails now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sean, since you started checking in your beers back in 2013 to now, is there anything that's really changed for you as far as like your mindset of like the way beer has changed? And are you staying the course on everything, or have you changed along with a lot of the breweries that have changed because they've had to?
I think my mentality, my approach is still sort of the same.
Yeah.
I definitely go more farther afield. I'll be honest, when I got into craft beer there was a craft beer bar across from where I worked. And so I would go, and they were like, oh, there's this new app called Untappd. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was sort of into ciders and lambics at the time, more fruit forward beers. So that was sort of where I was. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, let's try to drink an IPA or a stout or different types of beers. And I never traveled for beer ever until I started doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought of like, oh, I'm going to go to San Diego for the weekend and Uber around and drink, hit 5 or 6 breweries each day and have a good time. That was never what I would think about doing. So I do that now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you know how many states have you kept track of how many states you've been to at this point?
Well, I know I haven't been to that many.
Okay.
So I've been to most of the Southwest states. I did a big road trip in 2019. I drove to Pittsburgh. And I took Route 66 back to Vegas.
Oh, nice.
So I did a beer festival in St. Louis. I did a beer festival in Pittsburgh, did Cleveland, Chicago, Michigan. Then obviously stopped at breweries all along the way back. So I did a lot of states there. I've flown to Georgia. A lot of the East Coast states I've done beer festivals at, but not all of them. Never done the Dakotas, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. I've never been to Tennessee. I always wanted to go to Nashville and check out the beer scene there. Just never gotten around to it.
And see, guys, collectively, are you thinking what I'm thinking too?
Get Sean over here.
Sean needs to come here so we can all get our numbers up on Untappd.
Yeah, there we go. We get Sean out here and we show him a good time.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Those are rookie numbers. Got to pump your new numbers up tour.
That's right.
Yes.
We'll all be ordering beer, and Sean will like, you guys are fucking rookies. I don't know.
What are you guys doing?
Get better.
In all honesty, Nashville, the beer scene in Nashville, Mitch has a point. Like, it's the community itself is shrinking, but it's happening everywhere. Breweries are getting bought up by either conglomerates or bigger breweries, but Nashville has something special that some cities in the United States definitely have. I'm not going to lie. It's not like Nashville's beer destination, but we've got really good beer in Nashville. Yeah. We've been fortunate to have some of the best breweries that, some of the beers that people seek out come out of Nashville, and then other breweries come in and buy those breweries. And those breweries are breweries that people seek out. So, to have something like Southern Grist get acquired by Zool in Knoxville, or to have Bearded Iris being out here in Nashville. I mean, like when we were in Dark Lord Day, and I remember it was my first year at Dark Lord Day, and I brought a home style, something that you can get at Publix or Kroger or whatever for a 6-pack for $12 or something like that. And people were trading Anchorage stouts for a home style IPA. And it's like, what? And it's like, we just can't get this anywhere. I traded a stout for a home style IPA 16-ounce can my first year at Dark Lord Day. And I have not forgotten that.
Yeah.
But get Sean out here and let's just drive him around, and we'll just Uber around to all the breweries in Nashville and have a good time.
Yeah. Come on, Sean.
Come on, because none of us are driving. We're going to need a driver.
I'll try and make it out there next year. Yeah,
that'd be a blast. Honesty,
please, it'd be worth the trip for sure.
I just popped open before you get going, Scott. Sean mentioned
new beer alert,
Georgia. So I've got Creature Comforts in hand right now. Mitch, I remember when you were hanging out with. I'm trying to remember his name when we talked with Asa, when we talked with Creature Comforts on the show, but Bigger Dreams Hazy IPA. And I'm trying to remember. I don't see
Creature Comforts does good work.
Yes. Very big fan of what they do. Yeah. So.
You know what's crazy? They have a location in Los Angeles.
They do. Yeah. They do. Yes.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's a really rough part of LA, so I've never been, but yeah, they have a Georgia location and a LA location.
I think they have 2 in Georgia and then LA. Like, where'd that come from? But they do.
Happen in city, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm cracking open an IPA from Greenbrier Valley Brewing Company in West Virginia. And this is called The Hatfield Takes on the Devil Himself.
Oh,
whoa.
Yeehaw.
I'm telling you what, giddy up.
Reference. Wow. Might have been some
no horsing around on that one.
I know it.
Mitch, the master of bad puns on the show. No joke. You'll hear 2 more from him tonight. I guarantee you. And they'll go unnoticed for the most part. And then you'll go, wait a minute. He said that about 10 minutes ago.
No.
Well, and we know some folks in West Virginia, so this came from them.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
take me home.
Yep.
Rich, your count's up to 2. So look at that, man.
I'm telling you, I'm
Sean's
on my way to
like, good Lord,
47,000. Yeah, I'm almost there.
Sean has 2 before he gets up in the morning.
I was telling my wife tonight, we were eating dinner, and I'm like, yeah, I'm jumping on the mics with the Brewery Underground podcast here in about an hour and a half. And I was like, we're talking with a gentleman named Sean who's had 48,000 beers. And she's like, how many have you had? And I'm like, I've had 4,600 beers. And she goes, way to make it sound bigger than it really is. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. And then I go back to, Sean will get a kick out of this. I was at what I thought was, I was going for my 5,000th unique beer, because there is a badge at 5,000 on Untappd, and I was at 49,995. So I was 5 beers away from getting that 5,000 beer. I got a couple of buddies over locally, and one of them had a really nice barrel-aged stout from Anchorage Brewing, and he brought it. That was going to be like the 5,000th check-in. So we're drinking beers, and I had my 4. And then I go to check in this Anchorage stout that he had picked up when he was up north. And I clicked on check-in, and there was no badge. And I go, what's going on? Like, I've been planning this thing for like a week and a half. And I go back and I check my beer list, and it was not 4,995. It was 4,495. So I had checked in my 4,500th beer. No badge at 4,500. I still had 500 fucking beers to go before I would reach that 5,000 mark.
I remember that he was texting all of us, and then all of a sudden it was kind of like, wah, wah, wah. Bad for him, but we love Rich, so, that's okay.
Not a fun
Rich
night.
was disappointed.
Rich is a beer brother, so it's all right. We still love him, though.
But you know what, Steve? You get to
Sean, the question I have, because I know I get excited at this, maybe it's my own excitement. This actually happened about 2 weeks ago. Scott and I were at a brewery here in Nashville, Marble Fox, and we were checking in. We both got the PB&J blackberry beer.
Blackberry's the newest one.
And I pulled up my Untappd app, and I said, Scott, look at this. Nobody has checked this damn thing in yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. For me, there's just a level of excitement because it doesn't happen that often. But when it happens, man, I feel like I have some power. I'm the guy. I'm the influencer today, or I'm going to check in this beer.
No, I definitely...
The very first guy.
Yeah. Definitely get a little enjoyment from that when that happens. Yes.
That's never happened to Sean in the 4,800,000 beers that he's
No, not at all. Not at all.
As a moderator, Sean, when you're looking at that, you're probably like, okay, let me make sure I'm finding the right one, right? That is like, okay, there could be 3 possibilities. Let's make sure this is right. Oh, ABV is different. Okay, so that's right. So, and then, a lot of times you have to check them in yourself too if you're the first one.
Sure, you gotta create it. Yeah,
you create that one. Sometimes you're like, I'm literally the first one in the brewery hasn't put it in yet.
Ooh. I don't. So, do you guys feel like there's more pressure on you if you're the first one to check it in? Where you go, man, I mean, I don't want to crap on this thing.
Yeah, like 6, 7. Yeah.
Mitch, don't know.
There we go.
Do that, Mitch.
Here we go. There it is.
He's been waiting.
He has been waiting. I think I get more pressure out of not necessarily like checking it in for the first time, but like if I have to go and especially if it hasn't gotten enough check-ins to be able to generate an average or to generate the, like the flavor profiles, like if I have to go in and check it in, if it's an IPA, like it's really easy to be like bitter, hazy, dank, like, those are the real easy ones. But like if I'm drinking an IPA that's got a very unique taste to it, I find myself sweating the small stuff, Steve, to try to like find the flavor profiles that are available to me on Untappd so I can make sure that I add those.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. To help everybody else.
Yeah. And
Sean, do you know what that number is when, just like Rich is talking about, when you create it for the first time or you're one of the first 10 or so, but the overall or the average rating isn't there yet, even if 9 people have checked it in? And do you know what that number is? It 10? Is it 20?
It should be 10.
Okay.
But it's not instantaneous. I've seen that it does take a little time for that calculation to be ran. But it should be 10 as I understand it.
Has Untappd ever reached out to you other than the moderator thing? Have you had conversation with them or like in any capacity? Like, hey man, great job. Great use of our app. Anything like that?
No.
No? Okay.
Besides the moderator thing, I've never really interacted with them. Just, yeah.
You should be the poster child.
Yeah. Do moderators have to pay for insiders, like subscriber insider? Like, do moderators have to pay that premium, or do they just get it on the house?
I don't think you have to pay to be insider. If you want to be insider, you have to still pay, but you don't have to be insider to be a moderator.
I gotcha. Okay, gotcha.